Fine, visual's good. Look like shit right now. It's Road to Excalibur, 5.5 weeks out. And man, food's been a bitch. And it's not like I'm hungry. Like, hunger's fine. Problem is like, I still have that addict in me from when I was young. It's something that I know is never gonna really be gone. And it's something I work with. And so, been on and off trying so many different fucking strategies to try to find ways to work around this. I've ran into so many roadblocks. 178 pounds on the scale has been a roadblock. Every time that I get there, I end up binging. There was a time where I stopped weighing myself. I had my wife weigh me in the evening and I wasn't looking. Didn't help, because like I hit a specific leanness and it just all of a sudden happened. Kind of learning that it's like, it's definitely part of just the way that my body is trying to respond without having the fats, without having the calories. When I get down to that leanness, it's like, it's a survival instinct essentially. It's like, you know, there's nothing that's gonna stop me from being able to overeat and overconsume, even though I know that it's there. The problem when this whole addict aspect comes out too is that motherfucker does not give a fuck about goals, does not give a fuck about my values, my morals, doesn't give a fuck about what I want. Solely just wants to think for himself. It's hard. Trying some new things, changed my diet plan again. I'm back on, actually calories are cut more because I still have another 7 to 8 pounds that I'd like to fucking lose of body fat. And with that, and I only have about, 38 days or so, fucking crunch time. But no matter what, no matter how lean I am or how fat I am stepping on stage May 20th. And it's rather I'm gonna be embarrassing myself or I'll be at least still putting up a fight. It's gonna be one of the two. I'm not gonna be coming in as lean as I wanted to. And that's, that is what it is. Hoping that with shape and symmetry and fullness, we'll see. But hey, my body is unbelievably fucking capable. And I've done some fucking crazy things in the past. So we'll just have to see. Workouts are still fucking good. I'm actually still, some numbers are going up, some numbers were stalling. And so when that all happened, we added in a few new drugs. Added Anavar in now, so I take 20 milligrams of Anavar every day. So kind of like part with my pre-workout, it helps. Now with Anavar, it is an oral steroid. Oral steroids are more liver toxic, so like very limited time frames, very normal small doses. Like I'm not gonna crank shit up to like 40, 60, 80, 100 milligrams a day like some guys would. That's not ideal, but threw that in. Trendolin's in to help reduce catabolism. It's not helping with the appetite suppression yet, but we'll see. I am getting some estrogen side effects. My right nipple started getting sensitive, my left one's fine. So I'm gonna go get some blood work done. Because overall, no matter what, I still care more about my health first. Bodybuilding is not a healthy sport. And I understand that from this point on, like I'm at that low enough of a body fat percentage that it's not healthy to be there. But I still wanna make sure that my health markers are gonna be okay. So we're gonna get into the workout, see how the fucking weight moves today. It's a pull day, so it is one of my favorite days. So put this band away and get to it. When it comes to competition prep, you start out and you have an estimated body fat percentage. You have an estimated stage weight. Make some calculations, do some math. It's all calories, right? So 3,500 calories roughly is 1 pound of body fat. If you've got 25 pounds of body fat, you multiply that by that and divide it by the amount of days, you gotta have that much of a calorie deficit per day. So that's what a prep is. That's the whole idea behind that. Anytime you start to plateau, you make another adjustment because your body's adapted. You try to keep it in that same percentage the whole time. Try to keep essentially the same rate of loss. This way you maximize muscle retention and you maximizing like the fat loss. The problem, when people go off plan, you go off of a food plan, what changes is every calorie that you eat over what you're supposed to eat is more calories that you eventually have to burn off. And so if you eat an extra 10,000 calories throughout your whole prep, you know, that's an extra 3 pounds of fat that you're gonna have on your body by the end. You repeat that 5 or 6 times, well, now you're not even stage ready. So you have to make more increases elsewhere, right? Or more food cuts. And so I'm at the point now where I've binged so many times that it's not even like there's any specific rate of loss that's the proper estimate now. I don't even know where I actually am after 10 days of being consistent, because it's been a while since I've been able to actually stick for a solid 10 days. I can get, so far, what? Since 10 and a half weeks out, I did my deload with that diet break, and that everything from there has been fucked up since. I needed those. Didn't need, like, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. Looking back at the diet break, like, it was great. It was everything that my body needed. It was everything that my mind needed. But coming back off from that was way too difficult for me. So maybe in the future, I have to do shorter preps, more intense, you know, if I was gonna be doing more competition. So that's something that I'm gonna have to keep in mind for any of my future competitors as well. Like if they're struggling with that, it's like, you can't get back on after a diet break, that's there. I didn't know how well I would do or how poor I would do. I had hoped that, you know, dropping all the fatigue, because normally that's where I struggle with, is like it's, you know, coming halfway through the day or the evening, I'm so fucking fatigued that I'm like, I feel like I need the food for the recovery. So, you know, that was the goal, like drop the fatigue and feel fucking amazing and, you know, be able to go in and control the food. Well, I enjoyed eating that volume so much, and I enjoyed that feeling of having fullness again, that it's been so fucking hard to be able to maintain and like get back on and stay on. I've done significant changes to my diet plan, probably about 5 times in the last 5 weeks, trying to change foods around, find way, force and adherence essential. But it's always something sets off. I had friends come down this weekend for Easter, and so Saturday, I ate strictly protein in the morning. Then when they were down, I didn't eat much extra, but I did eat some extra that day. Easter was the next day. Was doing great until probably closer to the end. Went over a bit more. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like, I have to find ways to fucking just deal with it and get over this shit. The aspect of giving myself the grace and humility is good, to not hold it against myself and feel guilty, like, because that's not what's causing binges, right? It's not like I'm guilty and I'm like, oh, you know, I fucking threw it away anyways. It's actually the opposite, unfortunately. I recover so quickly after a fucking binge that, like I said, that addict, it's like, well, if it only took you 3 days to get back down there, why can't we do that again? And again, and again. But I gotta figure it the fuck out, harden the fuck up, discipline the fuck up, and fight through that shit now, because that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm one of those kinds of guys where, you know, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna follow through. Like if I'm gonna set a goal, I'm gonna aim for something, I'm gonna do everything that I can to still get there. And that's, you know, I'm still making it up on stage that day, as I said, no matter how fucking lean or fat, but fucking get there. Clean reps, but that's okay. Because otherwise I lose too much. It's hard to get that like peak contraction, especially as far into prep. This food's still low when I'm not binging. Then friendship or even, you know, marriage and stuff like that is to find somebody who has strengths that complement your weaknesses so that you can propel and do better in the world. I spent my fucking 20s miserable because I focused so much on all of my losses, all of my weaknesses, all the things I wasn't good at, all of my inadequacies, where I was unable to even see any of my strengths and my fucking wins and the things I was good at and things I was doing well. I was like, there were way more of those on a daily basis. It's just, I was so conditioned from childhood to focus only on my fuck ups and my mistakes and things I'm not good at. And like, you have to go all in on your strengths. And like, even with Cole and I were talking about the AI aspect of things, people are concerned about this, and people are concerned that it's going to replace humans. And the exact example that we were using is he was talking about writing a poem, poetry. You know, how he got the AI to write this beautiful poem for him, and it took a lot of prompts and a lot of figuring out, but you know, it's a great poem. But even he says that there's not a chance that it could ever replace humans. And there's a lot of people out there that are very afraid that AI or technology is going to replace humans. And what I was saying is like, all the people that are going to be concerned about that are people that are too focused on their inadequacy, because a good poet will never be replaced by AI, but if you're not good at poetry, you absolutely get fucking stomped by it. So maybe everybody just needs to start focusing on everything that they're good at, stop worrying about everything that they're bad at, because if you focus on what you're good at, there's not a fucking chance in hell you'll be able to be replaced by anything, as long as you're good at what you think you're good at. You just have to focus all on that. If you keep focusing on the shit that you're not good at, might make it slightly better, but you're never gonna be proficient. You're never gonna get to a point where you're irreplaceable. Because if you're only okay, you're only good, if that's your end point, you'll be replaced. So you have to get great. And you can only get great by finding what you're already naturally, intrinsically good at and going fucking all in on that shit. All fucking. So, not this weekend, but the weekend before, a really good therapy session. It was a massage. She's a client of mine, actually. We trade services and whatnot, and sometimes, you know, usually it's kind of mild therapy sessions for clients of mine, and so started out as one kind of like for her, and slowly worked into one for me, and like started with her crying a little bit, and then, you know, 15 minutes in, I started going into some seriously grave detail of some of the most painful realizations that I've ever kind of gone through, the things that have gotten me to where I am now and pushed me on path to where I am today. And like, I was able to like get into serious fucking detail, and like, it was really good. She cried for about 50 minutes of the entire massage. I cried for about 30 to 40 minutes of the whole fucking thing. It was really good. And one of the big things is like rekindled my why behind everything. Cause like with me binging a lot, and it was questioning why I was even still going through with the shows. Especially with this being my last year doing them anyways, just to make sure that my health is good. You know, it's hard because like, I can diet and I don't enjoy it. And that's hard when you're in bodybuilding, right? Like I'm good with a lot of different kind of suffering to make myself better, to be able to push through that kind of shit. The adversity is what creates the strength and the change. But something about the dieting part, when I get to this, just like, you question a lot of things, and I question myself a lot, but the best part is that it really fucking brought it to light. It was really good. The big thing is like, I make a lot of promises to myself, and when I was young, I would break them all the time. I was always trying to be nice. I was a pussy, actually. I was afraid of confrontation, scared to stand up for myself, scared to stand up to other people. I was always doing whatever everybody else wanted, and I was just fine with that. Didn't really stand up. There's a few big times in my life where I should have said something, rather than even to my parents or close friends, where massive happened shortly after. Getting arrested at the Calgary airport, that should never have happened had I opened my mouth. A lot of illegal things I did when I was a kid, obviously. But one of the big things is like, as I've been growing into the person that I am now, a lot of it is around making promises to myself and then following through with them. Being reliable is a really big thing for me. Well, it's much easier to be reliable to other people than it is to be reliable to yourself. And a big value of mine is very reliable to other people, but in turn with that, I have to also be able to rely on myself and hold myself accountable. That's the whole reason I'm doing the prep on my own in the first place, is like, I've been able to get to a stage and do well while being accountable to somebody else who I respected and, you know, didn't want to disappoint and things like that. Where now I'm like, if I disappoint myself, well, I give myself a lot of grace and humility now. I used to be an asshole, but it used to drag me down too. So I have to be able to be reliable, not only to everybody else, myself. That's the whole reason I'm still going through with everything, even if, you know, my health is kind of a 50-50. We are checking my blood work this week, because if it's bad, there are some things that I'm not going to chat about quite yet. There are some things that are concerning, which is why I am going and getting it done. So I'm hoping everything's still gonna be fine. Once we get those results back, I'll chat with the wife, obviously, because it's not just my decision, it's her decision as well. She's equal part in this shit. There's a really good therapy. So brought up a lot of things, a lot of the biggest mistakes of my life. Remember when I felt I'd turned into my father at one point? He's great now, by the way, but when we were young, he didn't know any better either, and he fucked up a lot. And there was a point in time when my fatherhood, when I was younger, like I fell into his shoes. That was a hard time for me, and bringing all that shit back up to light and seeing how far I've come since then is the reason that I keep pursuing, the big thing. Actually, it was with Easter dinner this weekend, I was chatting with my dad a lot, and I was telling him, because he was like, you don't have to do it. And I'm like, no, Dad, you don't understand, I do. I told him, I was like, one day I'm gonna be lying on my fucking deathbed. And I really, really want to make sure that while I'm there, I'm reading off my list of achievements and not my list of regrets. Because I know, and I've heard of way too many people that they get to that end of their life, and all they can focus on is all their regrets, the things that they wish they did, they wish they tried this, they wish they didn't care about this, they wish they did this. I don't want to be that guy. I want to make sure that when I'm there, I'm sitting there and I'm fucking proud of the life that I lived, happy about the impact that I created on this earth, and that I have a long list of achievements that far, far outweigh my list of regrets. And I know that if I didn't follow through with going on these shows, doing these things, still trying hard, not giving up, that one day I would regret that. And I know I would regret it soon, and that would be something that would sit on my mind for the rest of my life. So even if being a high-class bodybuilder isn't one of my biggest fucking passions in life, it's still something that go out there, push everything, step on that national stage and see how well I do. Because if you never try, you never fucking know. You might as well go with a bang too, right? So.